No one expected it to happen so quietly. In a space filled with noise, movement, and attention, the moment arrived without warning. There were no spotlights pointing at them, no dramatic pause, no signal that something emotional was about to unfold. Yet when Jimin leaned closer and whispered something only Jungkook could hear, everything changed. In that brief exchange, something deeply personal surfaced, and Jungkook, despite all his strength and experience, couldn't hold back his tears. Just moments earlier, Jungkook looked like himself, relaxed, smiling, present in the moment. His posture was open, his expression calm, as if he were enjoying a rare breath of ease amid a demanding schedule. He laughed lightly, responding to the atmosphere around him, unaware that a few seconds later, his emotions would rise to the surface, so suddenly. Jimin stood beside him, close but unobtrusive, his presence as familiar as breathing. They've spent so many years side by side that moments like this don't need planning. They simply happen. Jimin leaned in slightly, lowering his voice enough that the words disappeared into the space between them. It was a small gesture, almost invisible to anyone not paying close attention. But Jungkook noticed immediately. His smile paused, as if his face needed time to catch up with what his heart had just heard. His eyes widened just a fraction, then softened. He swallowed, blinking slowly, trying to stay composed. But emotions don't always wait for permission, especially when they've been held back for too long. Whatever Jimin said wasn't casual. It wasn't a joke or a passing comment. It landed with weight. Jungkook's shoulders dropped slightly, a sign of release, as if something inside him had finally been acknowledged. His eyes shimmered under the lights, and though he tried to turn away, the tears came anyway. One slipped down his cheek, followed by another, and suddenly the moment became impossible to ignore. What made it so powerful wasn't the tears themselves, but the honesty behind them. This wasn't a performance. There was no attempt to dramatize the emotion. It was quiet, genuine, and deeply human. Jungkook didn't cover his face immediately. He didn't laugh it off right away. He allowed himself a second to feel, even as cameras continued to roll and fans continued to watch. Jimin noticed instantly. He always seems to sense when something shifts. His expression changed, concern mixing with warmth, but he didn't panic or draw attention. He stayed close, steady, grounded. There was no need to say anything else. The whisper had already done its work. Sometimes comfort doesn't come from more words. Sometimes it comes from simply being there, letting someone know they aren't alone in what they're feeling. Fans who witnessed the moment felt something stir inside them too. Many described feeling like they had accidentally stepped into a private conversation, one that wasn't meant for the world, yet resonated deeply because of its sincerity. It reminded people that behind the fame, behind the polished performances and global recognition, are real individuals who carry real emotions, doubts, memories, and hopes. Speculation spread quickly, as it always does. What did Jimin say? Was it something about their journey together? A reminder of how far they've come? A quiet reassurance after years of pressure? Maybe it was about gratitude, or pride, or simply acknowledgement of how hard Jungkook has worked. Fans replayed the clip repeatedly, analyzing expressions, timing, and body language, hoping to uncover clues. But perhaps the true meaning of the moment lies not in decoding the words, but in understanding the connection behind them. Jimin has often been described as emotionally intuitive, someone who understands feelings deeply and expresses them with care. He isn't afraid to speak about vulnerability, about fear, about love in all its forms. Jungkook, by contrast, has always seemed to carry his emotions inward. He gives everything on stage, pours himself into music and performance, but when it comes to expressing his own struggles, he often does so quietly. When those emotions finally surface, they come with intensity and honesty. That difference is what made this moment so striking. Jimin offered something meaningful, something grounded. Jungkook received it without resistance. There was no wall, no attempt to stay composed for the sake of appearance. Just a genuine reaction to words that touched something deep inside him. Many fans found themselves relating to the moment in unexpected ways. Not because they knew the exact context, but because they recognized the feeling. That instant when someone says the exact thing you didn't realize you needed to hear. The instant when all the exhaustion, pressure, and unspoken emotion finally finds a way out. Tears don't always come from sadness. Sometimes they come from relief, from feeling understood. Over the years, Jimin and Jungkook have shared more than stages and schedules. They've shared growth. They entered the industry young, learning who they were while the world watched. They faced criticism, expectations, and an unrelenting pace that leaves little room for rest. Through it all, they leaned on each other, sometimes visibly, sometimes in ways no one else could see. That whisper represented years of shared history condensed into a single moment. It carried late nights, early mornings, difficult rehearsals, quiet conversations after exhausting days, and unspoken understanding built over time. It didn't need to be loud to be powerful. Jungkook eventually wiped his tears, a small laugh escaping him as if he were slightly embarrassed by his own reaction. But the smile that followed was different from the one he wore before. It looked lighter, softer, as though a weight had been lifted. Jimin gave him a subtle look, almost like a silent confirmation that everything was okay. That alone seemed to steady Jungkook. Moments like this remind people why so many are drawn not just to the music, but to the bond between the members. There is something reassuring about seeing strength and vulnerability coexist. It sends a quiet message that it's okay to feel deeply, that it's okay to be moved, that even those who seem strong all the time need reassurance. In a world that often rewards constant productivity and emotional restraint, seeing someone allow themselves to feel openly can be powerful. Jungkook didn't apologize for his tears. Jimin didn't try to stop them. They let the moment exist as it was, imperfect and real. The whisper itself may remain a mystery, but perhaps that's part of its beauty. Not everything needs to be explained or shared. Some words are meant for one person at one moment, carrying meaning that only they can fully understand. The fact that Jungkook reacted the way he did suggests that whatever was said reached exactly where it needed to. Fans often talk about authenticity, about wanting real moments rather than scripted ones. This was as real as it gets. No planning, no intention to create a viral clip. Just two people sharing something meaningful in the middle of everything else. Long after the clip ended, the feeling lingered. People talked about it not because it was dramatic, but because it was sincere. Because it showed care without performance, emotion without exaggeration. It reminded viewers that connection doesn't always come from grand gestures. Sometimes it comes from a quiet whisper, offered at the right time. So what did Jimin whisper to Jungkook? We may never know the exact words,